It's my second Wole Soyinka play, and it's some of the most challenging work in general for me, and I love it for that reason. I love it because it's great. It's great work, these plays, but they're also deeply challenging. And language-wise, yes, you're dealing with an accent, so that's the obvious thing, Nigerian accent, and whatever dialect you're working in. But the writing is so beautifully poetic, dexterous, muscular, that it requires muscularity in delivery. So I think it's beyond just you're dealing with an accent. It's also the writer is so, Professor Wole Soyinka is so almost acrobatic with how he writes, that to deliver it requires muscularity, precision, so that every essence of what he's written and he's saying, which is so detailed, is heard and received. And that for me is the great challenge of him and Shakespeare, which is why I imagine people see them as synonymous in so many ways. Like it's called the Nigerian Shakespeare so much. I always hear this, and I understand why, because they both require you to surgically examine their work and text, because everything they write is for a purpose and a reason. Nothing's for throwaway. And the muscularity of the language requires you to approach it with extreme tenacity. I for one love it, and I never feel like I've conquered it or gotten around it, and I still don't feel that way. And that's part of what's so exciting about it.
So Theo, you're Nigerian-born, raised in the UK.
Yes, ma'am.
And you trained here, but you've also worked across major British stages. Now you're in Sheffield, playing as Kadiye in Soyinka's The Swamp Dwellers.
Honored.
Honored, yeah? What does that meeting of the worlds feel like to you?
The meeting
Of the worlds, yeah.
Of the worlds of the swamp.
Yes.
It's a opportunity for me to learn about my heritage, my history, my country, my culture, and more importantly, an aspect of my culture that I was unaware of, and aspects that aren't my culture. So I'm not from the Niger Delta. My family isn't from the Niger Delta. So having an opportunity to look at life there, look at life in a different environment, how people live in different environments in Nigeria, to look at the history of the oil spills and the hunt for oil and its effect on the people. It's been very educational for me. When you ask me what my response to the worlds has been, that's probably top of my mind. How much I was unaware of about the 50s in Nigeria, about that area of the Niger Delta, and about what life was like for people living there.
Right. When we meet the Kadiye, what should be our first impression before we make up our minds afterwards?
What should be your first impression? Well, I would be remiss to say or to dictate to anyone what their first impression should be.
What's yours?
But I would say that he's a very complex man, I tell you, Chiwe. Very complex guy. I would say that my first impression of him would be possibly mysterious.
Right.
Possibly mysterious might be the first impression. But as I say, to anybody watching, everybody might see different things, perspective, one of those things. So I'd be actually interested to know what you think when you see.
I'm not telling you. This is not my interview. But he has enormous authority. He's not just a villain. How did you find the human being inside him?
That's an amazing question. That's an amazing question.
How did you do
because
that?
I'll be honest, I've been on a kind of hunt and mission within myself to try and have a deeper excavation when I look at people, both in my personal life and in work.
Yeah.
Trying to understand different people's perspectives. irrespective of their actions or the things they say or how they may come across. And with him, it was actually easier than I thought it would be. I think sometimes we can, as people, become corrupted. I don't want to say too much to spoil it for people coming, but we can be corrupted by power. We can be corrupted by desire. We can be corrupted by fame. We can be corrupted by popularity. There's so many things that we can be corrupted by when beginning and coming from a starting place of good intentions. I don't know if anybody's completely, I don't know if anybody's immune to being corrupted in the right circumstances. And I see him as a figure in this play that possibly has been victim of that human flaw.
Are you saying he's a bit more complicated than just being corrupt? Is that what you're saying?
I am definitely saying he's more complicated than he is just corrupt, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
I hope and I pray that I'm able to give people a window into him to see those things, and because I definitely think that Wole Soyinka, incredible writer, has written him that way.
Yeah. So without revealing too much, but there's a scene in which Igwezo just pushes and pushes on questions, and then the Kadiye does respond honestly, and the truth, or at least a version of truth, is put to him. What did you make of that as the Kadiye, as the person that personates him? What did you make of that?
I think it's an incredible scene because, not to go too far away from your question, but the play is almost written with a myriad of pens, like one thing is happening, but so many things are happening in that one moment.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying something, but so many things are being said in that one sentence. Which is part of his genius, his being Professor Wole Soyinka's genius. So in that scene, which it feels like an interrogation, it's kind of what I titled that unit as a interrogation or cross-examination.
Yeah.
I feel like, yes, on one level, Igwezo is cross-examining and interrogating the Kadiye for how he has managed the spiritual resources of his people. But also I feel like it's the writer speaking about religion and spirituality as a whole, questioning how they manage people's spirituality and growth in general. From the micro of these two characters to the macro of how humans and humanity deal with religion and people in general.
Yeah.
I said I was gonna not go too far away from your question, and I have. Have I?
You have.
Answering your question?
You've grasped. You've got it. I think you have got it. But also, it just leads me to something around languages, because you have done quite a lot of work around Shakespeare's, and language seems to anchor a lot of Shakespeare's work. But I was just wondering, as a performer, how did languages challenge you in this particular Wole Soyinka production?
Ooh. This is my second Wole Soyinka play, and it's some of the most challenging work in general for me, and I love it for that reason. I love it because it's great. It's great work, these plays, but they're also deeply challenging. And language-wise, yes, you're dealing with an accent, so that's the obvious thing, Nigerian accent, and whatever dialect you're working in. But the writing is so beautifully poetic, dexterous, muscular, that it requires muscularity in delivery. So I think it's beyond just you're dealing with an accent. It's also the writer is so, Professor Wole Soyinka is so almost acrobatic
Ooh.
with how he writes. That to deliver it requires muscularity, precision, so that every essence of what he's written and he's saying, which is so detailed, is heard and received. And that for me is the great challenge of him and Shakespeare, which is why I imagine people see them as synonymous in so many ways. Like it's called the Nigerian Shakespeare so much. I always hear this, and I understand why, because they both require you to surgically examine their work and text, because everything they write is for a purpose and a reason. Nothing's for throwaway, and the muscularity of the language requires you to approach it with extreme tenacity. I for one love it, and I never feel like I've conquered it or gotten around it, and I still don't feel that way, and that's part of what's so exciting about it.
Yeah. I kind of almost flipped it like, oh yeah, Shakespeare is the Wole Soyinka, but let's leave it there.
Yay! I like that.
Yeah. You know, with the Kadiye, a lot of people will recognize the Kadiye in different forms, like in the faith space, in politics, and families. But what would you like audiences specifically to do with that recognition when they meet you, when they meet your character Kadiye here?
What would I want? I think what I would like to inspire is to question power. To question it. What is it? What is it? What does it mean? How much of it can a person have and trust that they can manage that within themselves? Leaders, to question what it is to lead. What does that mean? What does that look like? Because I think that's, for me, what's synonymous with all people in positions of... Yeah, that's for me what's synonymous between a religious figure, a politician, as you said, a
family
teacher.
Elder. Oh yeah.
Anybody in a position of authority, leadership, and influence, they're all managing power on whatever scale they're at. And I guess those would be the two things that I would love us to take away and think about. What is power? What does that mean? What is leadership? What does that mean? Because I think, just personally, we're in a time where we really need to examine these things and possibly redefine them. I'm not sure that I have ideas for how we should change the world. But I think I wouldn't be a genius in saying that there's a lot that's broken. And there's a lot of people being underserved. And there are people leading them. So maybe we should question what leadership is and what power is, and possibly as a global community find a way to redefine it positively for everyone.
Thank you.